Hello, and welcome to the latest podcast interview by the Biathlon Integrity Unit. My name is Callum Murray, and my guest is Dr. Gunter Gmeiner, head of the WADA-accredited Doping Control Laboratory in Sebersdorf, Austria. How does the doping control process work, and how do the testers stay ahead of the cheats? Stay tuned to find out. So, Gunter, very good to speak to you today on this podcast. I want to start by asking you, what are the basic requirements for a WADA-accredited laboratory? What does a laboratory have to do to be accredited by WADA?
So the basic requirements for running a WADA-accredited laboratory, generally speaking, is maybe courage, to do so. So of course you need to get into the WADA system. You need competence in analytical chemistry and knowledge of the pharmacology of doping substances. You also need competent and reliable staff, a suitable equipment and reliable methods. Then you are able to get into this candidate status for a WADA-accredited laboratory. Then when the candidate status is accepted, then you get in the probationary phase, where you will be tested with test samples and you have WADA assessments. And finally, if an expert group within WADA comes to the conclusion that you have the competence and the analytical possibilities to run an accredited laboratory, you get WADA accreditation. But of course, to sustain, or let's say also to survive as a WADA-accredited laboratory, you need also to have clients which trust in your analysis.
So moving on, what's the process for testing an athlete sample, and is it different for blood and urine?
Again, generally speaking, the process that you have to follow is very strictly defined by WADA standards and technical documentation. And these are mandatory documents that you have to follow from the general perspective. More particular when it comes to laboratory, of course, you have in your laboratory also your chain of custody with the samples. And this is similar, or let's say equal, for urine and blood samples, so that you adhere to technical documentation from WADA, that you have your chain of custody and so on. What is different are the methods applied, because there are methods which are or doping substances which are detected in serum samples solely, for instance, growth hormone, and substances which are detected in urine samples. So I would say nearly all the other 500 substances that we are detecting in one run.
We hear about false positive tests, maybe mainly from guilty athletes. How do labs guard against false positive tests?
This has also works on different levels, I would say. First of all, a sample, when it enters the laboratory, goes through an initial testing. So if there is a suspicion or an indication that there might be a prohibited substance present in the sample, then it goes to confirmation analysis, which means that every sample which leaves the laboratory as an adverse analytical finding is tested at least twice. So there you have, of course, if the confirmation analysis does not confirm the initial testing, then you have to go find out the reason why this is. But at least this is I would say one important step is this initial testing and confirmation procedure. And on the way to report the sample, there are different checks that you are doing. For instance, checks that this is the correct sample code, that there is no mixing in that, and so on. And as I said, there are a series of checks, a series of also reviews of the data, not only by one person, and at the end, the laboratory management is reviewing the data for an adverse analytical finding. So this gives a confidence that that I would say the number of false positive reportings is minimized.
Again, we hear that samples are always anonymous. Why is that, and how do labs guarantee that samples are anonymous?
Yeah, samples arrive as coded vessels. Yeah, so there is a maybe 8 or maybe 6, 7 digits sample code on the vessel, and with a protocol. And the protocol just does not contain the name of the athlete. Yeah, very clear, but contains information which is important for us for the analytical procedures. So is it an in-competition sample, is it an out-of-competition sample? Then we know the gender of the athlete. We know the sports and the disciplines, because some substances are only prohibited in particular sports and so on. But the name of the athlete is not known to the laboratory. Yeah? There is only one incidence where we know which athlete this is. This is athletes had the right to analyze a B sample. Yeah, the B aliquot of a sample which arrives into the laboratory together with the A sample bottle, both sealed. The A sample goes into initial testing and confirmation. The B sample is stored in its sealed form. Yeah? So if the athlete requests his right to analyze the B sample, then and the athlete is present during B sample analysis, then of course we know who the athlete is, simply because we need to have a copy of his ID.
And the reason for the anonymity, I guess, is to guard against any corruption or to maintain the integrity of the sample.
Yeah, the main reason is that every sample is analyzed the same way. Yeah, so that we don't say, okay, this is a sample from this athlete, maybe we shall not do this and that. This is completely not possible due to the fact that we just got samples with codes, and so every sample is treated equal, no question.
In Sochi, in the doping scandal in Sochi, it became clear that the sample bottles had been tampered with, even though they were supposed to be tamper-proof. How has the security of those sample bottles been improved since then?
I mean, I have to say that the work and the responsibility of the laboratory, of course, starts when samples arrive. Yeah, so every process which is before that, so sample collection, and of course the equipment which is used for sample collection, that is not in the responsibility of the laboratory. But of course, from our perspective, if we see that some equipment might have some deficiencies, this is something that we feed back to the let's say to the companies who are producing such an equipment, so that they have the chance to get information what happens, I would say, in the field, and improve their products. So and of course we also see improvements, especially after this Sochi Games. We have seen that there are improvements which makes tampering of the substance much more complicated, or let's say easier visible than it was before.
Several sports have introduced biological passports. How has this affected the process?
This is a really, really interesting question too. So the athlete's biological passport system came in force in about 2008, with the blood passport. And what was immediately seen is that from interpreting the data from the passports, a target testing for doping with erythropoietin, with EPO, was possible. And so the number of adverse analytical findings reported for recombinant erythropoietin doping went up. Then after a few years of target testing, then I would say that the experience was present to go for adverse analytical findings without a positive result from, let's say, urine or blood analysis, just from the passport data alone, which is an indirect system. And the first adverse passport findings were sanctioned. Yeah. So above that, yeah, and dopers also try to avoid things, but also there is a big deterrence effect, yeah, with the biological passport. Say, okay, the monitoring of what athletes doing, and especially what dopers are doing, is much better due to the passport system, and this holds for the blood passport as well as for the steroid passport, which is done in urine. Now we also have a new phase, which is a blood steroid passport, so testosterone, androstenedione in blood, and also this is to be expected to have a deterrence effect again.
Now, labs such as yours obviously don't operate in isolation. You cooperate with WADA, you cooperate with testing authorities such as the BIU. What forms does that cooperation take?
The main point is that we do not only analyze samples in the laboratory, we also generate knowledge and experience. Yeah? And one very important point is to also shift this experience to anti-doping organizations within international federations like BIU, but also on the national level. You say, listen, we have seen that, that you can improve on this side, you can improve on that side. Or, for instance, for the detection of this and these substances, it would be better to have, for instance, blood, which is stabilized and so on. Yeah? So important here is that there is a line of communication, a constant line of communication and mutual trust. And especially we in the laboratory here in Sebersdorf in Austria, we are organizing every year an anti-doping workshop where we invite all our clients, including also BIU, yeah, so that we spend one day together of experience exchange, yeah, of course also with a topic, yeah, and it's somehow like a Roman piazza, a meeting point, yeah, where there is exchange, and this is the important for the development of anti-doping in general, that there is experience exchange, sharing of knowledge, and communication.
And I guess you also share information with other WADA-accredited labs.
Of course, I mean, this is not only a mandatory figure for an accredited laboratory. And there are some landmarks here. Yeah, first of all, there is one workshop is organized by the Cologne laboratory where we meet and exchange our scientific experience of the last year. But not only this, yeah, not only our laboratory, but many laboratories also offer training courses, yeah, in special methodology. Yeah, for instance, our laboratory is offering very often to have colleagues from other laboratories trained in the detection of recombinant erythropoietin. Yeah, so there is indirect, yeah, and direct exchange of knowledge, and as good as this system works, yeah, it's good as it is for the development of anti-doping strategies.
Samples are stored once taken for up to 10 years. What's the purpose of that?
The purpose of that is for me not only to let's say to detect cheaters, yeah, after a certain period of time, but there is also a very clear deterrence effect, a message coming from this long-term storage program. And the message is, listen, even if we do not have the tools and the methods to detect substances that you are taking at the moment, yeah, please do not be sure that it will not be possible for after 1, 2, or maybe 3 years. And this system of long-term storage goes over a period of 10 years. And many things are possible then.
And last question, and this might not be an easy one for you to answer, Gunter. It always used to be said, and maybe still is said, that the dopers are one step ahead of the testers. Is that still the case, do you think? And how can you be sure that you are not lagging behind the dopers?
I think that this is imminent to anti-doping in general. Yeah. So if substances are detectable, are easily detectable, and so dopers or cheaters try to find a way to avoid this by trying new things. Yeah. So, and we have to live with that. And of course, we have also our strategies, yeah, to be as fast as possible with the development of the method. But there is one element which is important also, or let's say one message to dopers and to cheaters is you never can be sure. Yeah, you never can be sure that methods or substances that you are using are undetectable. And there are also many examples for that. Yeah, where athletes thought this might not be detectable, but in fact it was detectable. Yeah.
Gunter, thank you very much indeed. That was really interesting. I really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.